These figures are light cavalry with javelin and 15mm scale printed in resin with my 3D printer. To make them I bought STL from Reconquer Designs of Basque Light Cavalry. In the pack there are 4 figures of different horses, and 8 different riders. They are 3 units part of my Sicilian feudal army. I bought the 28mm STLs and rescaled them to 15mm, leaving them at 60% of their original size. Here you can see in detail the 4 horses, and the 6 riders that I decided to use. I printed them using my Elegoo Mars 4 Ultra in layers of 20 microns. The resin is Elegoo water washable. As I had to scale them down, I used the unsupported version and added them myself. It requires some work. Having so many structures in different directions makes it a bit difficult to establish the best orientation in the slicer. On the other hand, they have quite a lot of dynamism. Although once painted I have a criticism: the 2 figures that look down you can't see their faces because the player will always see them from above. This is detrimental to the expressiveness. However, they can be very useful for a diorama or a display case, and even if you can't see the face it's a very characteristic pose that brings variety to the bases of several figures. Otherwise they have an incredible detail. It's a pity to make them at 15mm. Seen close up they look great as you can see, but at that scale many details will not be appreciable at playing distance. The first thing I had to do was to add some resin bases that I printed to be able to manipulate the horses. Adding them directly in the STLs is easy, but it would have made it more difficult to place the supports. I painted the horses with black primer and a dry brush of white primer. For the riders and weapons I used only gray primer. I used push pins with a little blue tack to hold the riders, but this covers a part that needs to be reworked afterwards. Thus fastened, I already do the whole lower body. To have as much access to the figure as possible, I decided to wait until this moment to include the javelins of the right hand. They fit so perfectly that I did not use glue. It's time to touch up where the wash has been too dark. To lighten the warm colors and greens, I use this color. For the light colors, I use this bone white. And for the blue, I use this very light blue. Once the back of the shields are done, I turn them to make the front. I use different colors, and the border and skin color is on the front to represent rawhide. Illuminating in the direction of the light brings volume. The riders are ready, let's go for the horses. I had left them with a black primer and a white dry brush, but I painted one in black which I simply dry brushed with a metallic black brush. With gray primer, I painted the reins in a light color so that I could later use a color from the air range, which is very transparent and many colors find it difficult to cover, which on the one hand is a disadvantage, but on the other hand can be used in a similar way to contrast paints. Gray primer to be able to illuminate the high areas. For the blue, instead of painting a clear base, I used a color that covers well. a very light dry brush in chrome color. At this point I had 2 black horses. I decided to make one of them a pinto.